Hey, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I am back to read you another story. This one, you might notice that this book looks like it's pretty old, pretty worn out. This was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. And you know what? I still love it. So I thought I would share it with you today. So this is The Biggest Bear by Lynd. Oh, and it is a Caldecott winner, which means lots of people thought it was a good book. Johnny Orchard lived on the farm farthest up the valley and closest to the woods. On the hill behind the barn, Johnny's grandfather had planted a few apple trees. These were the only apple trees in the valley, and they were known as Orchard's orchard. Whenever Johnny went down the road to the store for a piece of maple sugar or something, he always felt humiliated. The other barns in the valley usually had a bearskin nailed up to dry, but never Johnny's barn. Every fall for 3 years, Mr. McLean had come in with a bear. And one evening, Mr. Pennell had just stepped out to the edge of his nearest field and shot three in a row as they came heading for the tall timber. It is true that Johnny's grandfather had met a bear once when he was on the way back from picking apples, but he had gone in one direction while the bear had gone in another. When Johnny had asked him why, his grandfather had said, "Better a bear in an orchard than an orchard in a bear." It was very humiliating. Johnny said, "If I ever see a bear, I'll shoot him so fast he won't know what hit him, and we'll have the biggest bearskin in the whole valley." After After he had gone quite a way into the woods, he came to a place where there was a big stump, and something seemed to be moving in the bushes behind it. So you can see him looking at that tree stump. It was a bear, all right. Look at that cute little baby bear. That doesn't look like a very scary one. He seemed hungry, so Johnny gave him a piece of maple sugar. Mm. On the way home, the bear ate all the maple sugar Johnny had in his pocket. Look how cute. It's a snuggly bear, like a teddy bear. Johnny's mother and father were a little surprised to see that Johnny had really brought a bear back with him. Johnny's grandfather said, "I suppose you know what a bear likes to eat." What did he find out? Bear likes to eat maple sugar. That wasn't all. The bear liked the milk that was meant for the calves, for those baby cows, watching as the bear drinks their milk. He liked the mash meant for the chickens, scaring the chickens away so he can get their food. He liked the apples in the orchard, climbing a tree, picking some apples. You seen that? He liked pancakes on Sunday morning. Now he's sitting with the family at the dinner table, looking off Johnny's plate. And most especially, he liked the maple sugar Johnny bought him from the store. And he's going for some more of the maple sugar. There was hardly anything he didn't like, and Johnny's mother got pretty upset when he started looking for things on the kitchen shelves. Why do you think she got upset with him? Do you want to see? It's a mess. Whoa. Yeah, I understand why she's upset. In the fall, Mr. McCarroll got pretty upset when the bear spent a night in his cornfield. He broke a bunch of the corn stalks. See corn down on the ground? Each one only has one bite out of it. In the winter, he had a wonderful time with the bacons and hams in the Pennell's smokehouse. He broke into the building that they were preparing all their bacon and their ham. You can see he took some bites out of different things. Oh, looks like there's some paw prints on the ground. It was bad enough that he emptied all the sap buckets when the McLeans were tapping their maple trees in the spring. So he went to all the trees. They're getting ready to make some maple syrup. We have to gather the sap from the trees, and they had all these buckets full of the sweet sap. And the bear got to them. So that was bad enough, but it was even worse when he got into the McLean's shed and drank up most of their maple syrup. He was always eating, it seemed, and he grew pretty fast, and he got pretty big. Finally, Mr. McLean started talking to Mr. Pennell. They both went to see Mr. McCarroll, and they all came to see Johnny and his father. What do you think they've been talking about? What they had to say about Johnny's bear was plenty. He was a trial and a tribulation for the whole valley. Look how big that bear has gotten. After the neighbors had left, Johnny's father explained to Johnny that the bear would have to go back to the woods. So the next morning, Johnny started out. They walked for miles due west on an old lumber road way past Baldwin's Hill to an old clearing that was overgrown with raspberries. Do you think the bear likes raspberries? Johnny explained to the bear that the time had come for him to go and live in the woods like other bears. He gave the bear a last hug and started the long walk home. Oh, look at the bear's face. He looks kind of sad too, doesn't he? While he was doing the chores the next morning, Johnny saw that the bear hadn't stayed in the woods for very long. Peeking around the corner there. Hello. So Johnny started out again, this time to the blueberry bluff, way past Watson's Hill. And when Johnny left him, the bear was eating blueberries very happily. Maybe he likes blueberries more than the raspberries. But 2 days later, he was back again, this time hanging out with the pigs. time, Johnny took him due south and got a boat and rowed 2 miles out in the lake and left him on Gull's Island, which is a pretty big island. But the next morning, there he was, not even very wet. Johnny and his father talked it over, and they decided there was only one thing to do, and Johnny said he would do it. They don't look very happy, do they? They didn't really have to go very far, but somehow Johnny kept on walking. They went north this time. There were no roads here, and it was a part of the woods where Johnny had never been before. That doesn't look like a very happy part of the woods, does it? At last they stopped. Johnny seemed to have a hard time getting the bullet in the gun. While he was working with it, the bear seemed to get a whiff of something. Without warning, he took off through the woods. Johnny went with him. Doesn't look like Johnny had a lot of choice. He's holding on to that rope and getting dragged along the side. You can even see his feet aren't touching the ground anymore. He's getting pulled along. They went through the woods so fast that Johnny lost his gun, but he held on to the rope. They seemed to be heading for a sort of little log house. What do you think he can smell? I think you can see his hat's gone away now too, not just his gun. They went through the doorway pretty fast, and something came down with a bang, and they were prisoners. Looks like some type of trap. When Johnny looked around, he saw the bear was happily chewing on a big lump of maple sugar that had been put in the trap for bait. That maple sugar. Pretty soon, some men came. They were a little surprised to see Johnny in there. I don't think they were planning on catching a kid, just a bear. They explained to Johnny that they were getting animals for the zoo in the city. They were delighted with Johnny's bear. He was much bigger than they had ever hoped for. He will have a fine place to live and all he wants to eat, the men told Johnny. And you can come and see him whenever you want to. Do you think that sounds like a better plan? And I'll always bring him maple sugar, said Johnny. And there he is, with his bear and some maple sugar. And that's the end. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I do. I'll see you again later. Talk to you soon.